The role of knowledge in winning. Albert Einstein said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, whereas imagination encircles the world." When I first read that, I thought we can burn all our libraries and erase all our data that we accumulated over the millions of years and sit on the shore facing the sunset and start imagining. Well, of course, that can't happen because knowledge is not limited, at least in the conventional sense. So, what the great scientist wanted to convey was that the knowledge we already have is limited. And the knowledge that we don't have yet and yet to be explored is way more than we can ever start to imagine. Ironically, the only way to do that is coming out from and through the same heap of known current knowledge. Here's for you. Genius is an African who dreams up snow. That's powerful, I know. Beyond imagination, we'll give you something to think upon. Now, why knowledge is limited is a good news for us. Consider this. We human beings have limited lifetime, limited means of learning, and I have never seen a company named Private Unlimited. So you can gather only so much knowledge in your single lifetime. And so when we start thinking about how limited that knowledge can be, we can slowly start to make it our daily goal to find and absorb only the most appropriate knowledge. Knowledge that is relevant to our work, leisure, and family. Say, for example, instead of filling our knowledge pool with poorly crafted daily family soaps, one can invest the same time in reading some fantastic books like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. Now, if that's too much to ask those who are going through a divorce or some sort of family crisis. Now, in the same way, there are other books, movies, and podcasts available everywhere to help us improve every area of our lives. Knowledge also has the limit of age, geography, and relevance. We all know that kind of knowledge that becomes obsolete with time. How about knowledge about repairing cassette players today? Now, unless you are an antique freak, getting a workshop on how to repair tape recorders is not going to fetch you much, I guess. This type of knowledge is not going to take you very far. Another kind of knowledge that gets on my nerves is bullshit breaking news. Now, whatever goes around in the world cannot be my business every time. Now, sometimes this kind of knowledge can be relevant, but not every time. But yes, it can be relevant if you want to stay a consumer. How silly it is that you spew your knowledge pool with events happening on the other side of the globe while you have some serious problems in your own life. Struggling to pay bills, struggling to get ahead in your workplace, struggling to figure out what's going to become of your this very life, and still surfing through news so that you can come up with some fabricated bullshit points in a lame debate with your colleagues on some probably one-sided news about a place probably you won't ever visit. Now that's some very dangerous knowledge we are talking about here. It eats up all the time and energy and space that we could have filled up with, if nothing more, only love and joy? Or could have spent that time doing some constructive work that would have propelled us further toward our goal. Now, there are many other kinds of irrelevant knowledge packets that are thrown towards us all day long. They come from all different places. Through commercials, an obsessed friend with all crappy breaking news, a video of a brawl that became viral on the internet, your social media wall filled with bullshit facts that don't have anything to do whatsoever with your goal. So what stops so many people from becoming world-class leaders? And the answer is knowledge. And what propels all the very successful leaders out there? And the answer again is knowledge. We human beings can't live without knowledge. After all, that's the greatest weapon we have been gifted with. I bet the tiger still doesn't know how to create fire. We still know that. Up until now, as far as we know, we are the pinnacle of life form, at least in our solar system. You know why? Because we are the most curious animal nature ever produced. Knowledge is the human food. Adam couldn't stop himself from eating the apple of knowledge. He was Adam. Who are we? You think you eat food and you stay alive? Bullshit. More than anything else, we crave for knowledge. Consider this. Do we really need art to survive? Do we really need to go to the moon to survive? Do we really need to dive deep into the ocean to survive? Of course not. But we do. Why? Because we can. We humans need something, some drama in life. So we devise plays, art, science, and tools that can take us as far as we have come today. We aren't sitting ducks anymore. We aren't sitting our asses on the same tree as the chimpanzee or looking for food every time like the hyenas. We are hunter-gatherers. We are wanderers. And that's what we should be. But the question is, why do leaders achieve what they want? And the answer is, they achieve it because they accrued knowledge over time that others didn't want, that others despised. It's not easy to invest your time in reading stuff that you don't like, or to sacrifice an episode of Game of Thrones and instead invest that time in watching a tutorial. That's not easy. Well, but if you are able to find this missing piece in your puzzle of knowledge is a challenge, and if you win this challenge, what you hated will become your love, you'll absolutely give it a shot. Because when you find this piece of puzzle, there comes a meaning to life. You start developing a taste for the unknown but crucial, the tough but essential, commonly referred to as the acquired taste of knowledge. But that's only a start, because that is going to take you only so far. Because the greatest leaders also have one more very important piece of the great puzzle of knowledge. It's the knowledge of your direction. You are on a road, you don't know where you're coming from, and you don't know nothing about where you are going. Now, most of the people will live their whole life knowing nothing about where they came from and where they are headed. These are the consumers. Of course, they are very important, and their importance will be maintained. They'll stay in the same place, because this knowledge of not knowing where we are going is also a knowledge. Take this. You ask a question to someone and they say, I don't know. Now that not knowing becomes your knowledge. And of course theirs too. In the same fashion, the universe asks us daily, where in the hell are you going? Now what's the most common answer it gets? I don't know. And if we don't know where we are going, that knowledge becomes our knowledge and thereby of the universe. And what on earth can you do with knowledge so poor in information and loaded with neglect? And yes, you guessed it right. Like you and me, the universe becomes incapable of decoding such knowledge. And when the universe cannot decode a piece of knowledge, where does it put it? Where do you put the stuff that you don't need anymore or don't understand? In the trash. On the other hand, if you know the answer, and of course that will be your own answer, that piece of knowledge will be transferred to the universe. And as we know, clarity is power. Precise information in the knowledge is the key, because that will help universe find a place well designed, well suited for that piece of knowledge. That won't go in trash. Well, you will still have to work, but you see, the wind will now be blowing on your back instead of smashing right on your face. It works like this.